I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna skip right to, this is where I used to give a seminar to realtors and I explained to them how they can list a house through probate. So let's talk a little bit about the joint tenancy, because this happens quite a bit in the Hispanic community, and a lot of people try to do this, especially like the clients that came in last night in my office. When you guys buy a house, you guys obviously get what's called a grant deed, which is a deed transferring ownership from the previous owner to the people who paid the money. That grant deed is the way that you basically tell the rest of the world, I own that piece of property. Then there's a second deed, which is called the deed of trust, because most of us don't have the cash to pay it all cash. The home, that would be nice. Those are our friends in China that can do that here. They're the ones buying up everything cash. Just kidding, but it is true. No, it is true. It's very true. So every time we sell our house, we're selling our house to either somebody named by Lee or somebody who is Vietnamese and Nguyen, or a family or something to that effect.
We have a Lee here.
Yeah, no. Thank you. Welcome to America. We are your servants. You guys are going to have to learn how to speak Mandarin or Cantonese pretty soon. No, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Very good investors.
Yes. And I have clients. When I went to USC, one of my roommates was a Chinese citizen who came to study abroad at USC. And his parents thought it would be more wise for them to buy an apartment complex rather than have him pay the USC rents. And so that's what they basically did. And lately I've been setting up trusts for kids in Irvine, where their parents, Koreans or Indians, are buying homes out there. And then they're basically saying, hey, we'll send you to school at UC Irvine or whatever the case is out there, and we'll buy you a house so you can live there, but we're going to put it in the trust because we don't trust you to manage this house on your own. And then obviously if something happens to you, it goes back to the parents. I've even had clients from Japan that were referred by another client of mine, and the brother was investing in properties, a condo in Signal Hill. My client was his sister, and she has her home in Long Beach, and then her brother lives in Japan with his wife and his family, and they had bought this condo about 30 years in Signal Hill, and they'd been using that as a form of investment. And the guy literally made a trip from Japan during the holidays to basically set up a trust so that they can avoid estate planning here. So you have foreigners doing estate planning because they see the benefit of estate planning as well too. Anyways, joint tenancy is a quick fix but not the best fix. I just want to hammer this home because I see this happen so many times where you get, I believe in your world too, sometimes the mom and the dad buying a home and they need somebody to help qualify with the loan. And that some person, it could be a cuñado or cuñada, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. It could be a friend or a neighbor sometimes. It could even be children that have the income to be able to support the additional income that's needed to qualify for the loan. And sometimes these could be really tricky situations, and people don't realize by adding all these people on title, that could really create a problem, because in the future you can unintentionally disinherit the rest of your children, because if mom and dad and John are on title and mom and dad died, then it just goes to John. And then what happens to Jimmy, Bobby, and Kevin, all the rest of the people? So if they also get into debts or tax problems or lawsuits, or if you want to ask them to come into the office to sign off on a deed, they may not be so willing in the future. And then of course, what if there's 3 people, and what if John becomes incapacitated because he gets hit on the bike when he's bike riding? Or what if something happens to that person? Now you're going to have to do a conservatorship for that 3rd person because of that incapacity. Anyways, this is something that I really like to harp on. And we already talked about giving away the assets.